Hey, what's going on everybody out there? I'm Jakejames Lugo and welcome to Gamers with Gains. Now this is going to be a very special video because this is my review of Marvel's Luke Cage that's coming out on Netflix on September 30th. I got a chance to check out the series early, it's about 13 or so episodes, but this is going to be my early review of the series before you guys get to check it out on Netflix later this month. But with that being said, let me rest assured to you guys that there's going to be no story spoilers whatsoever in this review. It's completely spoiler free. I'm not going to spoil any of the big plot points or anything that goes down in the series for all of you guys. I'm going to talk about the series in a general sense and talk about some of the aspects that I loved and hated about Marvel's Luke Cage. But with that being said, let's just jump right into this. Now, I have a couple of my notes here that I'm going to tell you guys. So, Marvel's Luke Cage, it's the third series in the Marvel Netflix shows that have been based around or loosely based off of some of the stuff that's gone on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've had Daredevil, which we had about 2 seasons, getting a season 3, which is awesome. We had Jessica Jones, which is also getting a season 2 not too long from now. But we're also going to have Luke Cage, and then later on next year, the Iron Fist. Now, a lot of the stuff that goes on in these Netflix series kind of loosely tie into what's been happening in the Marvel movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they're still their own contained stories about what's going on within that world, which is pretty damn cool. And every single one of the Netflix shows feels a little bit different from the previous one. You know, Daredevil was really grungy and grindy. It had a lot of, really of the dark sides of Hell's Kitchen in New York City. Same thing a little bit with Jessica Jones, which has a little bit of differences here and there. It gets into other topics of discussion. But Marvel's Luke Cage takes it in a completely different direction. It feels a little bit much more along the lines of like a classic 70s film, or at least a classic 70s series set in modern day New York. What do I mean by this? A lot of the music design choices are pretty damn cool. They mimic a lot of that funky sound that you hear in the 1970s, which I thought is really, really cool. But at the same time, they bring a lot of other elements from that era of film and that era of TV shows into the mix while still being primarily good for a modern day audience. And I think that's pretty awesome. Now, again, no story spoilers here whatsoever. What do I think of Luke Cage himself? Well, Luke Cage himself is played by Mike Colter, okay? I think he's a phenomenal Luke Cage. I think he's got the style, he's got the swagger, he's got the presence, he's got the attitude to be an awesome Luke Cage. When they were first casting him, to be honest with you, when I saw all the promotional material, I was thinking of a bunch of other different actors that were going to be suitable for the part. But when I finally now see him in action and I saw some of the teaser trailers and I also saw him in Jessica Jones and stuff, I started to really get behind him and start to really believe like, oh, this is a cool dude to play Luke Cage. Pretty damn awesome. Now, on the top of that, we also got some other actors in here. We got Mahershala Ali, which I hope I'm not pronouncing it wrong, but he was originally on House of Cards, if you guys have ever seen him do his acting on there, and he's been in a couple other shows here and there. He plays the main villain of the show, which is called Cornell Strokes, which is also called Cottonmouth. He's a businessman. He's one of the traditional looking types of gangsters that you find in the modern day. A lot of the kind of like, the gangbanger hip-hop type of scene as far as like the presence that he has, but he's still primarily a businessman that wants to be in control of Harlem. Now, with that being said, the show does a good job of actually showing this dichotomy of the same type of soul you found in the 1970s when it was like during that blaxploitation era of film and media and stuff, but that whole idea of like, again, African-American power, the way that it handles African-American politics and social issues with the juxtaposition of what we have now in the modern day. You got the heart and soul of the 70s, and you got the heart and soul of the modern day in the 2000s, the new millennium. And that whole kind of, again, back and forth between this 1970s funk and the modern day hip hop and rap, which I thought was pretty damn cool. It didn't really kind of tackle any of the African American issues, the concept and the ideas behind the N-word, or of like what's appropriate, what's a real black man, or what is a real man in general. It didn't in no way tackle the issues in any sort of offensive light, which I thought was good. It really tried to kind of encompass a whole bunch of perspectives and a whole bunch of ideas related to the big debate or the big argument or the big topics that we face even now in today's society. I thought that was pretty damn cool. Again, you still have your hip-hop, you still have your rap, you still have like, the whole gangbanger type of thing that shows up here and there, but you also still have like this more traditional take on what black culture was back in the day. And let me put it also this way. This isn't primarily just a black culture type of show. It doesn't really just appeal to just African Americans like that. Really, really, when I was watching the show, primarily, even though there was a lot of black actors and there was a lot of dark-skinned actors that show up here and there, I wasn't really looking at them as just black actors like that, which I think is to the actual series' benefit. This is when you know that a movie or a show is really doing a good job, because you're looking past that surface level of stuff. I'm looking at Luke Cage as just strictly Luke Cage. I'm not looking at him as the Black Marvel character or the Black Marvel hero, which I think is phenomenal, which I think is great, and it's a good way, and done everything in good taste, to be completely honest with you. A lot of the topics that they kind of tackle in this show could have easily gone off the rails and gone into more mediocre territory, and could have gone into the much more typical surface level stuff when it comes to tackling and discussing some of the subjects that come up, primarily the N-word and stuff. But the way that they handled it, the way that they presented it, and the way that they tried to a little bit educate people in a much more clever and witty way, as not so much to pander to one audience or another, or even insult your intelligence, which I thought was pretty damn cool. One of the other interesting things that I thought, because they pull a lot from that 1970s type of, culture and that 1970s soul and media, is that they even implement, ideas of kung fu movies. If you don't know, right, again, I'm a big kung fu movie buff. One of the things I always thought that was so cool was that hip-hop, in the early days of hip-hop, and that funk, that the end of the disco era stuff between the mid-1970s to the late 1970s, there was a lot of a big boom for kung fu movies. Martial arts films, with the advent rise of Bruce Lee and a lot of the other martial arts film actors that at the time, a lot of these movies started coming into the United States, and it kind of blended together with black culture at the time. You had a lot of blaxploitation films that were kind of catering to that same type of demographic, because a lot of people used to watch those style of films. They even kind of do a little fun commentary on that type of stuff. They even have a little fun discussions and kind of dialogue between characters, which I thought was really damn cool and really worked well for the series as a whole. At the same time, they keep things moving along. There was very little filler that happened in this show, which I thought was pretty damn good. There were a couple instances here and there which kind of try to expand upon the story and a little bit of the background of some characters, which admittedly some things go a little bit too long, but I felt they were still necessary to establish not only the motivations and the stuff behind certain characters, but also for some of the other events that were going to come up later on in the series, which I think was great. So overall, what do I think about Marvel's Luke Cage? I think it's a great show. I think it's a good addition to the Marvel Netflix series. It makes me really hyped up to see where all these other characters go, especially if it gets a season 2 down the line, or again, if anything bleeds over to some of the other Marvel Netflix shows like Daredevil, like Jakejames, like Iron Fist, and then eventually The Defenders. It would be very interesting to see how all this ties together and how all this comes together in the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. So with that being said, guys, that's my review of Marvel's Luke Cage coming out on Netflix. Again, it'll be out on September 30th. This is an early review that I did, completely spoiler-free. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section if you guys want to see more things like this. If you guys have any sort of thoughts about Marvel's Luke Cage, if you're excited about it, if you're excited about some of the other Marvel shows that are coming out on Netflix, or any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that are supposedly going to be coming out within the next few years. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say, but don't forget to leave me a comment down below, like this video, and subscribe to the Gamers with Gains channel for all my videos related to gaming, movies, series, superheroes, whole bunch of other cool stuff, stronger living, all that good jazz here on the channel. Also, don't forget, I am streaming every single day on Twitch TV, playing a variety of different video games. Again, playing all types of stuff from Pokken Tournament to Destiny. I did the Rise of Iron story content DLC not too long ago. I'm going to be playing some other new games I'm getting for review very, very soon that I'll definitely be playing there on Twitch TV for all of you guys and be able to get that one-on-one dialogue with all of you. If you have any sort of questions or comments or concerns or stuff that you want to bring up to me, that's the best spot to do so. There'll be links to all that in the description box below. With that being said, I will talk to all of you guys again real soon. Peace out, stay epic, everybody.